It's time for the One Bar and Lupica Show, bringing you anything and everything Minnesota Vikings.
Welcome to professional football.
All right, welcome back to the One Bar and Lupica Show. I am One Bar, joined with Lupigas. And in today's episode, we're going to go off the ESPN documentary theme. We were talking Last Dance. We're talking Vikings that could be in their final year wearing purple.
I have a confession to make. I actually have not seen The Last Dance yet.
Wow, that's a very bold statement. It's a fantastic documentary. I've already started it again.
Yeah, it's not that I haven't wanted to. It just I had other things to watch. But it's next. It's next on my list. I'm gonna knock her down this week.
Wait till you hear Scottie Pippen talk.
Jesus,
Hello.
Must have the nuts of a mule.
He does. But before we get into this fantastic Last Dance Vikings version, remember, subscribe to the One Bar and Lupica Show. Like the video. We're so close to 500 subscribers. Let's do this.
Yeah, I got blue balls.
I can't wait to see that 5.
Yeah, I'm going to be wet.
That's gross. But also, before we get into this, it's trivia time. Something tells me that one of these players on our list will be a guard. And,
I'll take potpourri for 500.
Yes. So the trivia in this episode is when was the last time the Vikings drafted a guard in the first 3 rounds, not counting this guy that we all know who it is?
Well, I have no idea who you're talking about right now, but
all right, let me rephrase this question. Who was the last guard taken in the first 3 rounds not named Pat Elflein?
All right. I have a guess. It might be too far back, but I do have a guess.
Well, stay tuned to the end because I got an answer.
Ooh. All right, let's hop into these.
Let's hop right into this. We're going to start off with some softballs, guys, that it's pretty clear that they're not going to be back, but maybe. And then we'll work our way into some surprise guys. So who do you got, number 1?
Well, I think the first one is left tackle Riley Reef. This guy, his cap hit in 2021 is $14 million. His play is beginning to decline. They could move him inside to guard, but you are not paying a guard $14 million a season. And you already got his replacement on the roster in Ezra Cleveland. So Riley Reef, to me, he is definitely in his final season. But we do need him this year. We cannot get rid of him this year. We have to have him in 2020.
Yeah, Riley Reef was on the chopping block to begin with. So the fact that he's back in 2020 is, I wouldn't say a surprise, but anyways, you're right. $14 million. Even if he rips shit up this year, they would have to at least restructure him. Regardless of what Ezra Cleveland does, Riley Reef is a dead man walking. I hope he comes in hungry though and wants to show people that he can still play.
Yeah, I think he's actually going to have a good year, whether it's at tackle or guard. I could see him starting out at tackle, maybe getting kicked inside halfway through the season when they think Ezra Cleveland's ready to go. But I do think he will be hungry because, he's still going to play for somebody if it's not the Vikings in 2021. So he's got a few NFL years left in his body.
Yes, he does. You know who might not is our next guy. Pat Elflein. Pat Elflein will actually be a free agent. We don't even have to cut him. He's just gone.
Yeah, and there's no reason to bring him back after this season. He's been horrible. If he's not getting destroyed, he's hanging on, getting a holding penalty that absolutely destroys drives. The Vikings are loaded with a bunch of young guards right now, and there's just no reason to hang on to him unless for some reason he looks like he did his rookie season in 2017 where he was actually a stallion. But they do need him this year. He's the primary backup to Garrett Bradbury. He can be, I don't want to say a starter, but he can be a helpful asset on the depth chart for guard too. So I think you got to have him around this year. But after this, he's gone.
Just think, maybe Pat Elflein is the next Brett Bush Jones, where they just sign him to 1-year contracts every year.
I think they like him. He seems like he's a really a fun guy to hang around. He probably does some weird shit in the shower.
Yeah, he must do something because he doesn't do it on the field. But let's, maybe the fact that he's going into a contract year, he for some reason just completely rips shit up.
Yeah, maybe, but there's nothing to show that. It's like after he got hurt, he lost all confidence in himself. It's bizarre. So let's move on. I don't want to talk about Pat Elflein anymore. I've done it so much these last few months.
But at least we're talking about getting rid of him. But you're right. Let's move on. Next guy, middle of that defense, Shamar Stefan.
And let's not sugarcoat this. The Vikings brought Shamar Stefan back last year to be a big run stuffer, and he was horrible. He was freaking horrible. 21 tackles, 1 sack. He was getting pushed around very easily, like an empty grocery cart. He was getting moved around so easy. He's owed 3.6 million this year, 3.6 million the year after. I actually wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't make the team this year. We might have already seen his last dance.
He may have. I'm going to say he's going to be around just because the offseason is a little goofy and we need our veterans there. But yeah, Shamar Stefan, man, not great. I wouldn't say he was horrible. I would just say he was less than fantastic.
No, he was
Maybe
horrible.
less than good.
He was a turd. Big old turd. I don't think
the thing is with the middle of that defense with Michael Pierce and Shamar Stefan, they're both known as guys to stop the run, or at least should stop the run. So it's not going to be sexy. We're not going to get sacks, but Shamar Stefan has not done well. And if you're right, if he makes it this year, he's Gonzo next year.
Yeah, I don't think he makes the team. Here's the next guy is a guy I love. I think we both love him, but like Riley Reef, his replacement is on the roster. We had to use the transition tag on him, and he's just going to cost too damn much. Is Eric Wilson, the linebacker? I think he's a starter this year. I love the way he plays. Good things happen when he's on the field. He makes big plays. He's just a huge upgrade over Ben Gideon, and I think with the money and there's the fact that Troy Dye is on the roster, I think he will be expendable.
Yeah, and you said Ben, he's better than Ben Gideon, but you could be on the roster and be better than Ben Gideon. So I'll be very clear about that. Eric Wilson, still only 25 years old. He's another one of those guys that seems like he's just been around forever. And this will be his chance to make some money. And like you said, with Troy Dye, Wilson will test the free agency. He'll make some cash in the offseason. And damn it, I will wish him well. But unless Troy Dye comes in and just lays a Cam Smith turd or something, Troy Dye's the next man up.
Yeah, and that's the only way he stays around. If Troy Dye looks horrible, has like a career-ending injury. Otherwise, I love Eric Wilson, but he's going to make money for somebody else next year.
And the other thing is, Troy Dye was a 4th-round pick. It's not like he was a second-round pick, 3rd-round pick. So Eric Wilson is probably still going to start. If he just lights shit up, I mean, it seems like he's gotten better every damn year. So if he comes in and just rips shit up, you got to look at Anthony Barr too, his age, his contract. So I'm going to say he's probably gone, but there's still a small chance.
Yeah, maybe, but I just think with the money he's going to demand, you already got Barr locked up, you got Kendricks locked up. I just can't see him investing that much money in another linebacker when you have a young guy who, on paper, has everything Eric Wilson has and then a little bit more. So if he shows even the slightest hint that he can be the player Eric Wilson is, then I think he's gonzo.
You ever seen one of these before?
I have. That one right here.
No. Oh, yeah. Twins. All right, so those are the guys that are just – everybody's just pretty much writing those guys off. They're gone.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some middle-of-the-road guys that would be a mild surprise but not overly shocking. Let's start off with our safety that just signed the franchise tender, Anthony Harris.
Yeah, and I think these two guys we're talking about here, it's just because of their contract. The Vikings – this is what worries me. The Vikings have tried to extend Anthony Harris. They haven't been able to work out a deal. This guy is so good, in pass coverage for a safety. Teams don't even throw the ball his way anymore. If he's not batting on the pass, he's picking it off. He led the team interceptions last year. And the longer this drags out, the less and less I think he actually comes back unless we franchise him again next year. But he's going to cost a lot of damn money. And if the Vikings can't – I think it might come down to they got to go either or. They're going to extend Dalvin Cook or extend Anthony Harris, and whoever agrees to a deal first might be the one who stays in purple.
Yeah, and Anthony Harris, this is he's going to be a little risky this year. This is his prove-it year because really he's only started full-time for a year. He started 8 games before last year, and then last year he started like 14 games. And, yes, he did rip shit up. Him and Harrison Smith make one of the best combos at safety. But this is kind of a prove-it year for him. So if he stays on that franchise tag and rips it up again, I think he's out of here. I don't think we'll be able to afford it. I'm hoping that they end up signing him before that July 15th deadline.
I agree. And before we get into the other guy, I want to ask you one question. You mentioned the word combos. If Anthony Harris and Harrison Smith were a flavor of combos, what flavor would they be?
You're asking the wrong guy because there's nothing grosser than a combo. Combos are disgusting.
What?
I hate combos. When I think of combos, I feel like I'm car sick.
Have you ever had the pepperoni pizza flavored
I've had
ones?
the pepperoni. I've had the cheese. I've had pretty much every combo possible. And they
You're an
taste
idiot.
like a taint.
Your dad was right. You're a damn idiot.
Yeah, I'm not a combos guy. I'm surprised they even sell those anymore. They're disgusting. Let's talk about the next guy who is not disgusting. Dalvin frickin' Cook.
Yeah, and I don't even like putting him on this list because I think he is going to sign with the Vikings. I think that is their goal. I think the Vikings, if they could pick one of these two players, they're going with Dalvin Cook. I mean, he was their offense. The first, was it 4 or 5 games to start the season last year? Everything went through Dalvin Cook. When your quarterback's throwing the ball 10 times, that shows the kind of faith you have in your running back. There obviously is the issues with him staying healthy. He's not had a 16-game season yet in his career, but he's so explosive. He's so dynamic. He's fast. He's powerful. He's a huge asset in the passing game. I think they're going to do everything they can to keep Dalvin Cook in purple.
Well, I'm gonna shock those pants right off of you, even if you are wearing pants.
I already took them off.
Yeah, I figured. I'm pretty impartial in the whole Dalvin Cook. You nailed it. I mean, he's very explosive. He's pretty much his offense, but man, I'm starting to drink the Kool-Aid as far as it doesn't matter if you have a good running back or not. Look at the top running backs in the league. They're McCaffrey, Zeke. I mean, they're not bringing their team to the promised land, and Cook hasn't yet. So this will be a fun one to watch. If Cook ends up re-signing, he's going to be in that Christian McCaffrey territory where he got 4 years for $64 million. So that will eat up a big chunk of our space, and we'll see what happens. But Alexander Mattison, I think they're going to test him out big time this year before they give Cook that contract.
But if you go back and look, I bet you there's 4 games where Dalvin Cook was the reason the Vikings won, just by breaking a big run or just being the one part of the offense that actually worked. It might be even more than that. So I honestly think there's probably a 4-win window, whether he's on the team or not. And I know the value of running backs kind of gets ignored or is less in recent years, but this is a special player, and you don't get rid of special players if you have a chance to re-sign them. And that's the factor, I think, if you actually have a chance, because he's going to cost a shit ton of money.
Yes, he'll be very expensive. He'll be worth every penny he gets. It'll just we'll see. We'll find out real quick.
Yeah. All right. Now here's a couple we got. These are kind of long shots. I don't know. I'm not on board with either one, so I'm gonna let you take this thing.
Oh, this is easy for me. I don't think this first one's a long shot at all. Kyle Rudolph is going to be 31 years old next year, and he's going to be the 3rd highest paid tight end in the whole damn league in 2021. I don't see that happening at all. He's going to play 2 years of his current contract, but to pay him top 3 tight end money in 2021, I don't see it happening, especially when you're looking at signing Dalvin Cook, especially when you're looking at signing Anthony Harris, and when you have Irv Smith on the roster.
If you cut Riley Reef, you save some money there. The thing you got to factor in with Rudolph, he's such a he's such a solid part of this team from a leadership standpoint, on and off the field. What he does for the community, what he does for this team. Kirk Cousins trusts this guy more than anybody in the red zone. I think if you get rid of Rudolph, you are really hurting the Vikings when they're inside the 10 on offense. I think if this is going to happen, Irv Smith has to take the step this year. If he does, and he actually becomes a Vikings for tight end number 1, then I could see this happening. But at this point, I don't see Irv Smith making that step. So I think Rudolph hangs around. Maybe they restructure him, but I think if he was going to be gone, it would have been gone before they extended him further here. So I think he sticks around.
Yeah, we will see. It has a lot to do with how Irv Smith does. And don't forget, Tyler Conklin will probably be a first-team All-Pro this year, so that will also play a factor in this decision.
You're right. All right. You start with the other one, too.
Yeah, you don't like either of these picks, but you gotta stop thinking with your heart. I don't give a shit if what he does outside of the stadium, all right? He's costing a lot of money. All right, Adam Thielen. I agree. This is a long shot, but Thielen will be 31 next year. He will be the 10th highest paid wide receiver in 2021 at $16 million a year. I honestly think this comes down to how the Vikings do this year. If the Vikings for some reason come out and lay a full-blown turd and we start talking rebuilding mode or something, that's the only way I see them moving on from Thielen. I think Thielen still has a lot left in him. I think he's still a top 10 receiver, but at that price tag, I think it all comes down to how the Vikings do this year.
The Vikings would have to be like 4-12 and just blow everything up if you're getting rid of Adam Thielen. Kirk Cousins is supposed to be around for 2 more years. There's no way you're getting rid of both his 2 favorite targets if you're going to roll them out there in year 3. You'd have to have the a very, very early pick. Get one of these top quarterbacks next year, whether it's Justin Fields or that pretty boy with the long locks from Clemson. I can't think of his name right now, Trevor Lawrence. Other than that, I just don't see it. There's no way to get rid of Adam Thielen. He's too damn good, and I think he's worth what he's owed. So it's one of those cases where you pay the man.
Well, he is definitely. I agree. The contract is not horrible. He is worth that, no doubt about it, and that is why he is under the long shot category. So it's a long shot, but I'm not saying it's not impossible.
All right, let's talk about a couple of non-players. These are guys who don't actually take the field for the Vikings. Don't actually. Well, one physically wears the purple, but the other one doesn't. Rick Spielman and Mike Zimmer. Is this their final year with the Vikings?
Boy, Rick Spielman does not get as much love as he should. I don't know why that even exists, but Spielman, we'll see. I think both these guys are definitely going to be back. If I had to put my shirt on it, which I'll gladly take off any second or anytime you ask me, I think they're both back. I don't know what the holdup is. I'm not going to try to guess when they're going to re-sign these guys, but that's all I got. I mean, they're going to be back.
Yeah, and actually, if I had to pick one out of the two, I would think Spielman was more of a lock than Zimmer. And I love Mike Zimmer. He's got his things that he's not good on the road. His teams don't do good on the road. They seem underprepared for big games every single year. And those things don't change, which is a little bit worrisome, but I think he's the right man. And look what the Steelers did. They hung with Mike Tomlin over all these years. And I'd love to see the Vikings do the same thing. Just put your faith in this guy, and eventually good things will happen, and you'll get to where you want to go. It just might take some time.
Yeah, and let me rephrase that. I think the only way they're not back is if for some reason Zimmer or Spielman don't want to be back. So the only reason they don't come back is if Zimmer has other plans, wants to retire, he wants another different gig. That's the only reason they would not come back.
Yeah,
because they have more than proven their worth.
Yeah, you look at the Vikings roster, how young it is. I think it's it might be top in the league when it comes to actually homegrown talent, homegrown players on it. I don't have the number in front of me, but he's done a hell of a job. He's already getting a ton of praise for what he did this year in the draft. So I love Rick Spielman so much. Yeah,
it'll be very interesting to watch over the next coming months. I can't imagine these guys going into the year without a contract. That if the season starts and they don't have one, that's when I'm going to start to get worried.
Yeah, that would be very gross. Is Spielman up? I don't know where his contract stands right now. Do you?
Yes, very up.
Oh God.
Very, very up.
All right. Speaking of up, so am I. So let's get to this trivia. I'm dying to know the answer.
All right. The last guard the Vikings took in the first 3 rounds before Pat Elflein. Who is your guess?
Well, I'm going to go with the year I wanted them to take a kicker. And instead they didn't. They took Marcus Johnson, the guard from Ole Miss.
It is Marcus Johnson.
Is it?
You were correct. You finally got a trivia question correct. Marcus Johnson. You know what? Marcus Johnson had a decent career. He had a couple okay years before he went to Detroit?
With the Vikings?
He did all right is the first time when they threw him out there.
I don't think he started more than 4 games.
I'm going to say he started more than 7.
I think he was a total bust. Which was weird because this guy was supposed to go like in round 1, and the fact that we didn't that we got him in round 2 was actually it made it easier for me that we didn't take Mike Nugent because I thought he was going to be the stud guard who was going to be around for 20 years. But
we got sniped. And he started 18 games for the Vikings, by the way.
Played like shit in all of them.
He did. You know what? You're right. I apologize. I think he had a few games that gave us a little bit of hope, but mostly it was pure shit.
He was no Chris DeGear, I'll tell you that.
That was a gross pick.
It was. And here's a fact for you guys to chew on while you're enjoying this beautiful weather we're having. If you ever see a group of flamingos together, say, "Hey, look, there's a flamboyance over there," because that is what a group of flamingos is called, a flamboyance.